Hi everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a fun project for you today. Take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this great? Look at these darling little flowers and these little hourglasses, and just how you set them frames up that block. And because we used flowers and hourglass, we're calling this flower glass. So to make this quilt, what you're going to need is one packet of 10-inch squares, and we have used the Homegrown line by Nancy Halverson for Benartex. And you're also going to need some background fabric. Now, some of those are 10-inch squares, but you only need 12 of those. So if you have a few left over, it'll work. Otherwise, you're going to need yardage, and you're going to need 2 yards. And that's going to take care of all of these and your first inner border. Your outer border out here, that's a nice big border. It's 6 inches, and it's going to be 1.5 yards. So let me show you how to make this because it's really cool. All right, so first what we're going to do is we are going to take our 10-inch square, and we're going to cut this into fourths. So just lay your ruler right on the edge. It goes over 5 inches automatically like this. So we're going to cut these right into fourths. And it's easy with this ruler because our ruler's only 5 inches wide, and it just, as long as you get it on that edge, all your squares are going to come out perfectly. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do this to our whole pack. You're going to pull out 25 of these 10-inch squares and cut them into fourths just like that. You're going to keep your colors together because that's going to make our flower. Now I have a flower started here, so I'm going to show you what we're going to do with all 4 of these blocks. We're going to take from our background fabric and cut a couple of strips of 1.5 inch squares so we can make these tiny little 1.5 inch squares. We're going to put a little crease on them, although to be honest, once you do a few of these, this is 1.5 inches. You can probably eyeball it from corner to corner pretty easily. So we're going to put 3 of these, 3 white 1.5 inch squares on the corner of all 4 of our little blocks. And so we're going to do this. On the 4th corner is going to go a yellow one. It doesn't matter which corner because we'll be able to turn these so they line up. So it's going to look like this, and we're going to go ahead and sew right on the line all the way around this block on those corners. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'm just going to start sewing this right here, and I'm going to start with my yellow, and we are just going to sew corner to corner on this. So I line it up and sew straight across. And then I'm just going to kind of pull it a little bit, not cut my threads even, and just start on the next one and just kind of turn this block and go all the way around. All right, one more. Here we go. And honestly, when you do this many of them, you will get really good at just eyeballing them across. It's a pretty short little distance. And the last one here. And we're sewing again right on that line. All right, so now what we're going to do, I'll just clip these threads. And we're just going to clip these off like this. You can use your rotary cutter or your scissors like this. I'm going to touch my iron to get it warming up. And one more. All right, that's your little scrap. That's pretty cool. So we're going to press these back, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay this on here, you know, and let it heat that thread, and then I'm just going to roll back my corners. And your blocks should stay the same size. It should still be 5 inches square, like that. Well, you know what? That iron's just not really hot enough, so let me do that again. I want them to lay nice and flat so you can see what I'm doing here. Alrighty, so now you're do this to all 4 pieces, and I have my other ones done here, and you're going to bring them up here like this, and we're going to turn them and put them together so the yellow forms the center of the flower. So that's kind of fun right there. That makes that little yellow center. And now we're going to sew these together just like a 4-patch. So I'm going to lay this one on top of here and this one on top of here. And I'll go ahead and chain piece these through. You want to watch so that these little junctions match up pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and put this on here. So 1/4 inch. Now if you have one of these pieces that's like just a little bit bigger, put that piece on the bottom, and when you sew it, the feed dogs will take in more fabric and it'll line up a little better. Excuse me. Sometimes our little seams aren't exact, and so that's an easy way to do that. All right, so now we're going to come and sew this. Oh, I probably should show you what I'm doing here. So I got these two sewn together like this, and now I'm going to fold these on top of each other like that and sew these together. All right. Alrighty, and just like that, we've got our little flower block. So let's press it open and see how we did. Pretty good. Now, one of the benefits of putting all the four little same colors in the center is that even if that doesn't line up perfectly, it's not going to show. Ours lines up pretty good, so it looks pretty good right there. And that's your little flower block. Isn't that cute? And it just fits in here just like this. It's so cute, it goes in there, and because we put these little corners on, it gives the petals a little rounded edge. All right, now we need to make hourglasses, and so you're going to pull out 12 of your colors and 12 of your whites, and they're both 10-inch squares, your background and your color. And what we're going to do is we are going to draw a line side to side on here and sew on either side. Now, I have one here that I've already done that on. See right here, can you see the line? And then I've sewn 1/4 inch on either side. And every time we make one of these, we're going to get 2 hourglass blocks. So let me show you how that happens. What we're going to do is we're going to cut it in half right here, right on the line, and then we're going to press these open. And we're going to press them to the dark like this. And do it to both of them. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these and we're going to draw a line again. So we're going to line up our ruler corner to corner just like this. All the way. So see, there's our line, and now we're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side. But when we put these together, we want them to put together so the reds are opposite. So we've red here and the white over here. So do you see how I'm doing this? So it's going to be opposite like that. So make sure your two are opposite. Make sure you can feel that those seams are nested up really tightly. Flip it over so you can see your line. And then we're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side of this line. Now, if you want, you can put a little pin in here so it stays together as you're sewing, like that. And then it won't move anywhere. But do make sure that these two are nested up really tight. So let's go ahead and sew 1/4 inch on either side. There we go. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to cut this on the line, just like we did the other one. And now we have 2 hourglasses. Look at that, 2 of those. That's pretty cool. And these should match your flower blocks in size. All right, let me just iron this one open and I'll show you how this is laid out because this is really fun. Alrighty. All right, so now we're ready to lay out our blocks, and I'm going to gather up some. I have some here already made, and I have some hourglasses already made. And I'm going to move this out of the way. So what we're going to do is I want you to look at the quilt with me right now because we've got a flower and the hourglass. Now notice on this row, the hourglasses go vertically, the whole row. On the second row, our hourglasses go horizontally. And what that does is it frames and makes one flower will have all the color around it, one flower will be framed in white. So every other row you're just going to switch, and you're just going to really sew your blocks together. So I have this one and an hourglass, and the first row is vertical, so we'll put it like this, and another one, and you'll just keep going, always making sure that your color goes up and down. On the next row, we're going to start with an hourglass, and it's going to be horizontal like this, and then we'll put our flower in there. Whoop! Whew, that was fast. Okay, wait, turn. There we go. Horizontal. There's our flower. Now our next little hourglass here, horizontal. And do you see how it's making these frames around these flowers? And our next little flower. So when you get ready to put it together, notice on the quilt we have 4 flowers on the top and 3 hourglasses, and that's going to swap the next row. And we've got 7 rows of those, so it makes a great size quilt. It's about 78 by 78, and so it's a really nice size. You're then going to add your little 2.5-inch border and your outer border, and you are good to go. So we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the flower glass quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.